Why is advice for men, improve yourself, but for women, be yourself? This advice is generally directed toward dating. Women typically don't have trouble finding dates. But the quality of the dates may be lacking. So if she tries to be herself, aka be genuine in what she wants and who she is, she will have better success finding a compatible man. But a man struggling with dating is likely struggling to get any attention at all. To stand out from other men and get a date, his best odds are to improve himself, hit the gym, work on confidence, take better photos, etc. My advice to all genders is to do both. Where are you seeing this advice? Probably because slightly different questions are being asked. A whole lot of questions under Ask Men boil down to something like this. My life is miserable and I am not happy with my life situation in general. I have no friends and don't do anything except eat, work, and sleep. I am depressed and dissatisfied. How do I make things not suck? Quote, in that case, the reason that guy's life sucks is because all he does is eat, work, and sleep without putting any effort into the other parts of his life. The solution is to generally do the work and put in the effort required to make things not suck. Exercise helps with depression. Being around people and being social will eventually help you make friends. And trying to get a new job is a thing that a person can do. Nothing in that problem gets better without effort. Now, if the question is more like one of the following: what can I do to get this person to like me? Quote, I like doing a thing that I enjoy, but my friends mock me for doing it and say I should stop. Or, I want to fit in with a given group but I am not comfortable with some elements of what they do. In that case, the answer is, fuck that noise. Be an adult and be yourself. If you have to change who you are to fit in or be accepted, you will be more miserable than you are now. I do not see many posts where of the second kind of question. But that is probably more about which communities I am hanging out in. End communication. I think that it's highly dependent on context, culture, and environment. In general, I think men in America or Western cultures are pressured to not be emotional. They're largely judged by what they can provide, financially, emotionally and sexually. Women are also pressured by a lot of arbitrary judgments but the expectation that they can show their emotions with a less harsh level of judgment is also there. Every gender has massive benefits and negative aspects. I think the most simple thing I've found about this is that if you find someone who doesn't care about those pressures and allows you to express yourself with dignity and kindness, then those pressures don't really matter as much. But for women, the advice is about how the rest of the world should accept them for the perfect person they already are. I'm a woman and I can 100% tell you this is absolutely not the case. This is a totally bunk premise. For everyone saying women should be themselves, there are a million influences telling them to be anything but. Maybe you hear this from individuals more because it's intended to counter the barrage of messages from advertising, social media, and popular culture that emphasize a manufactured necessity for women to look and act certain ways. I reject your premise. I've seen the same advice given to both groups, regardless of gender. The difference you're seeing is based on the person giving advice, not the person receiving advice. Women are historically judged and evaluated based on their looks. And I think that's what Be Yourself is about. That we should not judge women in that way. How many billions of dollars does the beauty industry rake in a year? Again, there are plenty of voices telling women to improve themselves for a better life. I also don't know who is telling women having problems in life to do nothing and be themselves. But that advice isn't going to work for most things. You can't be yourself, out of huge debt or the strain of home hospice care or whatever. Are problems in life only relationship problems for the purpose of this question? Even then, I feel like the most common advice to women having relationship problems is probably, have more self-respect and choose better partners. In what context? Because an awful lot of people ask for a ton of advice about different things in different places. And context matters. Like I used to give out a lot of art critiques and my advice to artists didn't vary by gender. I didn't go to the artist's page, note whether they were male or female, and tell the guys, keep on improving your art, regardless of what level of skill you reach, and the girls, keep on doing exactly what you're doing. You wonderful diamond you, because that would have been stupid advice. My answers might vary depending on whether the question was, what specific things can I do to improve this? Or, is this piece of art good enough? They might vary depending on whether the advice seeker was 15 or 55. Or whether they were just treating art as a hobby or wanted a professional art job. But the exact type of genitalia they did or didn't have was not a factor. So you might want to examine what subs you're mainly paying attention to. What kind of questions are likely to be asked there? Whether the type of questions differ between men and women. And what the culture of the sub is like. Like, is it primarily supportive or primarily problem-solving? It may be that primarily supportive subs attract more questions from women. But that men would also get support there if they posted. And vice versa. It may well be that there's a bias, but until you look at the whole picture it's way too easy to formulate a theory and then notice only instances that support your theory. Or it may be that the bias is present in a specific type of sub. And that's what you notice because you're never hanging out in women-centric problem-solving subs. Or men-centric support subs. Traditionally feminine traits, activities, hobbies, preferences are shunned. Traditionally masculine traits, activities, hobbies, preferences are rewarded. When I was in middle school, the only way I was considered cool as a girl was if I indulged in sports, gaming, STEM courses, rock, rap music, etc. Hobbies that are usually seen as something dominated by men. My friends who were into cooking, fashion designing, makeup, art courses, country music, K-pop, K-dramas, etc., were seen as having inferior tastes. Thank God I have gotten past the need to impress men by pretending to be interested in things that I'm not interested in just so they could take me seriously. Which is where be yourself comes from. Improve yourself is said to those men who don't take care of themselves and yet want a woman with near perfect characteristics. Another thing is when a lot of sexist men stop seeing women as objects only after they've had a daughter of their own, and they'll say some shit like, I've started respecting women ever since I've had a daughter, or, I've started respecting women ever since I fell in love with my girlfriend. Which is not as good as it sounds because I don't see women claiming they respect men as human beings only after having a son, boyfriend. So men could definitely improve themselves and do better in that regard. It's always be yourself but stay healthy. Haven't noticed it because it just isn't the case. If what you say were true, then entire industries, beauty, dieting, shapewear, would collapse. The advice women receive is heavily geared towards self-improvement. This is sometimes dressed up in the language of self-care. But the message is one of changing and optimizing yourself. I feel like a glance at the covers of any women's magazine section at your local newsstand quickly shows the premise of this question isn't accurate. I don't know where you're seeing this. Improvement is done by men and women when needed. No one is perfect, and no one who should be taken seriously would say someone doesn't need to improve just because they're a woman. I feel like you're leaving out context to further a narrative. Nope. Not noticed it. The diet industry, which is geared towards mainly women, is a billion-pound industry. It's a buyer's market. Perhaps. This occurs more frequently around you are. Perhaps. You only notice it in the circumstances you mentioned, but fail to notice when it happens the other way around. Either way, this is not a universal thing. Because of the prevailing cultural narratives men and women have generally each absorbed growing up in middle-class Anglo-Protestant American culture, which is presumed to be the default here. Men, you are the hero of your life, and your reward will be sex and devotion. Thus, boys are encouraged to feel entitled and be crushed by reality's constant fuck yous without self-reflection. Women, you are the prize to be won, but only if you are sexy and chaste and demure and interesting and shaved. Otherwise, you're nobody's prize. Fuck you. Thus, girls are encouraged to be more of an object than a human, without self-knowledge.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.